Good evening, and welcome to this special broadcast. We are coming to you with a story that has not just rippled through the sporting world, but has sent a shockwave directly through the heart of Southeast Asia. This is a moment that defies the odds, defies the history books, and quite frankly, defies the expectations of thousands of fans who gathered in Nonthaburi, Thailand, expecting a coronation for their home nation. Instead, they witnessed a dismantling, a masterclass, a changing of the guard so abrupt and so violent in its competitive nature that it has left the host nation in stunned silence. We are talking about the 33rd Southeast Asian Games, specifically the women's singles tennis final. The headline is simple, but the story is complex. Alexandra Eala has defeated Thailand's Mananchaya Sawangkaew. But to say she defeated her is a massive understatement. This was not a contest. It was a conquest. For 26 long years, the Philippines has chased a ghost. The gold medal in women's singles has been elusive, a drought stretching back to 1999. Generations of fans have waited, but in less than 2 hours, under the sweltering heat of the Thai sun, that wait ended. The final score, 6-1, 6-2, a scoreline that reads more like a mismatch than a gold medal final. The Thai crowd, ready to celebrate, was left watching a nightmare unfold on their own soil. Tonight, we don't just look at the score, we look at the domination, the controversy, the mental fortitude, and the historical weight of what just happened. The queen of Thai tennis has fallen, and the new empress of Asia has ascended. This is the story of the massacre in Nonthaburi. Let us now move into our deep dive analysis of this historic event. To understand the magnitude of what happened today, we cannot simply look at the match in a vacuum. We have to understand the atmosphere, the history, and the sheer pressure cooker that is the SEAG Games when you are playing against a host nation. Context is everything in sports. And the context for this match was set 26 years ago. The year was 1999. The Philippines, represented by the legendary Mari Chris Fernandez, last stood atop the podium in this category. Think about that time frame. 1999, the world was a different place. Most of the Gen Z fans watching this match today weren't even born yet. Alexandra Eala herself was born 6 years after that last gold medal was won. For over 2 decades, Philippine tennis has had its moments, its sparks of hope, but the women's singles gold remained a curse, a barrier that seemed insurmountable. Fast forward to the 33rd SEAG Games. The venue, the National Tennis Development Center in Nonthaburi, Thailand. This is not neutral ground. This is the fortress of Thai tennis. When you step onto that court as a visitor, you are not just playing an opponent. You are playing against the humidity, the history, and thousands of partisan fans who are there for one reason: to see their country win. The narrative going into this final was set up perfectly for a Thai victory party. Mananchaya Sawangkaew is not just a participant. She is a powerhouse, ranked solidly, playing at home, familiar with the surface, familiar with the heat. She was a Leah Madhu, the heavy favorite in the eyes of the locals. The expectation hung thick in the air. Thailand would defend its turf. The gold medal was supposed to stay in Nonthaburi. And then there was Alex Eala. On paper, Eala is a force, boasting a top ranking in Grand Slam junior experience that separates her from the pack. But rankings can evaporate in the heat of a hostile environment. The pressure on Eala was immense. She wasn't just playing for herself. She was carrying the weight of that 26-year drought. Every serve, every forehand, every movement was laden with the expectations of a nation that has been starved for tennis glory. So, what happens when a movable object meets an irresistible force? Usually you get a war. You get a 3-set grinder. You get drama. But today, we didn't get a war. We got an execution. Let's dissect the match itself, starting with the first set. The atmosphere was electric before the first ball was tossed. The Thai fans were vocal, chanting, drumming, ready to intimidate the young Filipino star. But from a very first point, it became immediately apparent that Alexandra Eala was operating on a different frequency. Sports psychologists often talk about the zone, that mental state where emotion disappears and only execution remains. Eala entered that court like a machine. While the crowd was waiting for her to crack, waiting for a double fault, waiting for a sign of nerves, Eala gave them nothing but icy precision. Her serve was the first weapon of mass destruction. It wasn't just about speed, it was about placement. It was about variability. Sawangkaew, a formidable returner in her own right, looked lost. She couldn't read the toss. She couldn't anticipate the kick. And when the ball came back, Eala's forehand was waiting. We have to talk about the Eala forehand. In this match, it was functioning not just as a rally tool, but as a finishing hammer. The velocity she was generating, coupled with a heavy topspin, pinned Sawangkaew deep behind the baseline. The Thai star was constantly on the defensive, scrambling, reacting, never dictating. The score rapidly climbed to 3-0, then 4-0. The noise in the stadium began to shift. It went from raucous cheering to nervous murmurs, and finally to a stunned silence. You could hear the ball strike the strings. That is the sound of a home crowd realizing their hero is in trouble. It was a masterclass in aggressive baselining. Eala didn't just want to win points. She wanted to take time away from her opponent. Don't give the enemy breath. That seemed to be the tactical mandate. When the first set closed at 6-1, it felt like a slap in the face to the hosting nation. It was fast. It was clinical. It was brutal. A 6-1 set in a championship match is rare between two top-tier competitors. It signals a complete disparity in the level of play on that specific day. However, tennis is a game of momentum swings. And as we entered the second set, the narrative threatened to twist. We have to give credit to Sawangkaew. She is a fighter. She didn't get to finals by rolling over. In the second set, she adjusted. She started taking the ball earlier, trying to disrupt Eala's rhythm. She managed to hold serve. She broke back. The score leveled at 2-2. This was the critical juncture, the danger zone. The crowd woke up. The drums started beating again. The Thai fans sensed a shift. If Sawangkaew could take the next game, the momentum would fully swing to the host nation. The heat was intensifying, both physically and metaphorically. And then came the controversy. In high-stakes matches, officiating can make or break a player's mental state. At 2-2, we saw a sequence of calls that would have shattered a lesser athlete. There were balls struck by Eala that appeared to catch the line, clean winners, that were called out by the linesman. Now, we must be objective, but the replay and the reaction from the Eala camp suggested these were not just marginal calls. They were egregious. It is the classic home court hazard. The crowd roars, the pressure mounts, and sometimes the calls lean a certain way. This led to a heated exchange. The game was paused. An official had intervened. In fact, the situation became so untenable that a linesman was actually replaced in the middle of the match, a rarity in professional tennis, and a testament to how poor the officiating had become in that moment. This is the moment where the script usually flips. The visiting player gets angry. They lose focus. They start arguing with the umpire instead of playing the ball. They let the injustice consume them. The crowd feeds off that frustration. This is what Thailand was hoping for. They were hoping Eala would self-destruct, but they didn't know who they were dealing with. Instead of losing her cool, Alexandra Eala found her fire. You could see it in her eyes. The input from observers describes as a hunger. I would call it control fury. She didn't throw her racket. She channeled that anger into the ball. From 2-2, after the controversy, the match ceased to be a competition. It became a statement. Eala didn't lose another game. She went on a rampage. The shots became harder, flatter, deeper. She was painting the lines, almost daring the linesman to call him out again. She broke Sawangkaew at 3-2. She held at 4-2. She broke again at 5-2. The Thai representative, Sawangkaew, looked helpless. She was looking at her box, looking at the crowd, looking for answers that simply weren't there. Her game collapsed under the sheer weight of Eala's intensity. The mist that the Thai fans thought would envelop Eala had cleared, and what was left was the shining brilliance of the Philippine game. The final game was a microcosm of the entire match. Eala serving for the championship. No hesitation. No yips. She served it out with the poise of a veteran, not a young woman shouldering a nation's history. When the final ball was struck and the match ended 6-2 in the second set, the stadium was essentially a tomb. The nightmare for the Thai fans was complete. But for the Philippines, It was the awakening from a 26-year slumber. Let's analyze the technical supremacy we witnessed today. The dominance displayed in a 6-1, 6-2 victory suggests a gap in class that the rankings might not even fully reflect. Eala's ability to neutralize the home court advantage is the biggest takeaway here. We are talking about mental fortitude. To walk into the lion's den, face a hostile crowd, face questionable officiating, and not drop a set, that is the stuff of champions. This victory is not just about a gold medal. It is about the restoration of honor. For decades, Philippine tennis has been looking for a figurehead, a global icon to rally behind. We have had great players, but Eala represents the modern era, power, speed, and a global training pedigree. By defeating Sawangkaew, she didn't just beat a rival. She dismantled the host nation's designated champion. She took the script that the SEAG Games organizers had likely written in their heads, a script where Thailand wins gold on home soil, and she burned it. The implications of this win are massive. It signals to the rest of Southeast Asia that the balance of power has shifted. The Queen of Thailand has bowed. The hierarchy has been reorganized. With this win, Alex Eala has solidified her status not just as a prospect, but as the Empress of Asia in this regional context. We also have to consider what this does for the future. Eala is young. She is just getting started. If this is what she does to the best competition in Southeast Asia, while under extreme pressure, what can we expect as she continues to climb the WTA rankings? This gold medal serves as a warning shot to the tour. To summarize the magnitude of this day, the drought is over. 26 years since Maricruz Fernandez. The ghost of 1999 is laid to rest. The hostility was neutralized. The crowd, the heat, and the officiating could not stop the Eala Express. The scoreline was absolute. 6-1, 6-2. There is no debate. There is no what if. It was total dominance. As we close this deep dive, take a moment to appreciate the image of that final point. The silence of the Thai crowd standing in stark contrast to the roar of the Philippine contingent. It is a reminder that in sports, nothing is given. Rankings on paper don't win matches. Crowds don't win matches. History doesn't win matches. Heart, skill, and the ability to execute when the world is screaming against you, that is what wins matches. Alexandra Eala proved today that she has all those things in abundance. The curse is broken. The gold is coming home. And the tennis world in Southeast Asia has a new ruler. For the 33rd SEA Games coverage, this has been a historic broadcast. The massacre in Nonthaburi will be talked about for years to come, not for the closeness of the fight, but for the brilliance of the victor. Alexandra Eala, gold medalist, the pride of the Philippines. Thank you for joining us for this extensive analysis. Good night.